The biggest part of a fish's diet is aquatic insects. These are insects that spend the majority of their life in or on the water, and most of the flies that we use in fly fishing are designed to imitate these bugs. The more you know about aquatic insects, the more fish you're going to put in the net. There are 4 main types of aquatic insects, but today we're talking about the most famous of them all. We're talking about mayflies. Mayflies are an important aquatic insect because they're found often in very large numbers in almost every trout stream in the world. Mayflies are a staple of a trout's diet, so they need to be a staple in your fly box too. There are tons of different types of mayflies, which we'll get into later, but classic bugs like the blue-winged olive, the pale morning dun, and even the green drake are great examples of mayflies. So how do I know if I'm looking at a mayfly? Mayfly adults are actually pretty easy to identify because of their tall, upright wings. They've got thin, tapered, segmented bodies with long, slender tails. They tend to fly smoothly up and down through the air, unlike caddis, which bounce. Mayfly nymphs are small and dark. They have 3 pairs of legs, a highly segmented body, and multiple tails. You'll find them crawling on and under rocks and branches near the bottom of the river. And don't worry about taking notes, there's no test on this stuff. In fact, we put together a Mayfly pocket guide that's got all the information that we're going to talk about. That includes these graphics, pictures, and our recommended fly patterns. I'll throw a link to that in the description if you want to check it out. Now, let's dive into the Mayfly life cycle and learn how we can use that info to our advantage as anglers. Like every other aquatic insect, mayflies begin their lives in a larval stage. This is what we commonly call a nymph in fly fishing. They can remain in this stage for up to a year. Once they're ready to hatch, they move up through the water column and emerge into the dun, which is the classic version of the mayfly that you might have seen before. A dun is almost a full-grown adult, kind of like me. Those duns fly into trees to morph into their full adult form, which we call the spinner. They return to the water as a spinner to mate, lay their eggs, and then they die. There are tons of different types of mayflies, like we mentioned earlier, and they all hatch at different times of the year and have their own unique characteristics. There are 4 specific types of mayflies that are pretty common and that most anglers will run into as they're out on the water. First, we've got the blue-winged olives, which you might hear referred to as BWOs. These are small bugs with darker colored bodies that range from light olive to dark gray with blue wings. They're usually sizes 20 to about 16. They're widespread across the country, present on almost every trout river. Up next, you've got pale morning duns, or PMDs. These are a little bit larger mayfly, usually in sizes 16 to 14, with a pale yellow, white, or brighter yellow body and white wings. You'll find PMDs on almost every trout river in the country. Drakes are the big boys in the mayfly family. These are big, meaty mayflies that present a great meal to trout. Usually you'll find them in about sizes 14 to 10. They'll often come in green, brown, or gray colors. Not every river has drakes, and the species that are available differ by region. Green drakes are more common in the east, for example, although there are some hatches of them here in the Rockies. Last but not least, you've got the tricos. These are the smallest of the mayflies, often in a size 24 to an 18. They can come in a range of colors from pale white to black. They're present on many rivers across the country. Now that we know about all the different types of mayflies, let's take a look at the patterns we use to imitate them throughout the year. To imitate our mayfly nymphs, the baby mayflies that are living at the bottom of the river, I like to use the pheasant tail, a hare's ear, a Frenchie, a bar's emerger, a copper john, prince nymph, the WD-40, a crackback, the gunslinger, and the shopback. The dry flies and emergers I like to use to imitate the duns and emergers as they go up to the water surface include a parachute Adams, a parachute BWO, parachute PMD, green drakes, Trico Spinners, the purple haze, last chance cripple, sparkle dun, RS2, and a variety of soft hackles. Now that you are armed and dangerous with all the information you need to know about mayflies, Let's go take a look at the best blue-winged olive hatch you'll ever see. We've got all these bugs coming off. They're literally crawling all over my waders right now. They're getting inside Alex's nose. You have no idea how hard it is for him to hold still right now. You get into a hatch like this and it can be pretty overwhelming. Like, what fly do I even tie on? What's going to stand out in the crowd? Generally speaking, you've got your dun, you've got your emerger, and then you've got maybe your spinner or your cripple. You're gonna pick your fly based on how the fish are rising and where those flies are sitting on the water. For example, right now behind me, if I take a look, I see a bunch of upright sailboat wings. I see a bunch of adult mayflies sitting on the water. And then if we take another look behind me, there's been fish eating pretty consistently. They are coming up and clearly eating off the surface. You can see their nose breaking the surface. That's telling me, hey, they probably want that adult fly. Earlier today, however, before the hatch really got going, they were just barely breaking the surface. You could see their dorsal and their tail fin kicking up a lot, and that told me they were taking stuff that was in the surface film. At that point, it was probably an emerger. So again, I'm picking my flies based on a combination of what I see on the water and what the fish are doing, how they're rising, how they're reacting to the bugs that they see on the water, and that informs my fly choice. During the blue wing hatches especially, you usually have low, clear water. You've got picky fish. They're very particular about both how the fly is presented and the pattern that you pick. So you've really got to dial those in. I've picked a dun, just a parachute Adams, because I can see the adults on the water and I can clearly see all these fish eating the adults. So it's not really a huge mystery what they're snacking on. I could throw a cripple on at this point too if I wanted. A crippled adult's always a good idea just because it's a little bit higher value food target. It can't escape maybe as quickly as the adults can, so the fish really enjoy that. But I'm just trying to cast to the fish that I can see rising. I've just got a nice 9-foot leader on, nothing too crazy. But I'm just trying to get this fly in front of these fish. And I have, and they're not liking it, so I may end up switching to that cripple. There we go. Oh! Oh, he took the bug. That was a bad knot. Ah. Oh. So what happened there is that I suck. I just set the hook late, is what happened there. I mean, there's no reason that I should have not caught that fish. That was just, my failure was immortalized forever in 4K. That's fantastic. That was a refusal. I've had just the tiniest bit of drag on it. The last one that just rose to it, he came up and he bumped it out of the way with his nose. Like, I watched him not eat it. There we go. Sometimes you just got to be patient. Something that, you know, I am definitely the guy to teach you about. Well, this is what happens. All right, let you guys in on a little secret. Fly fishing and filming, not as glamorous as it may appear, okay? Because sometimes you got to borrow a rod from a buddy, okay? Because the fly flinger's out of commission, which is what happened here. And my buddy Ivan, wonderful feller, but he's a lefty, so I go to reel, and it's I look like I don't know what I'm doing. Which, I mean, how does that differ too much from my real life? Boom, there we go.